It's people who got to understand what is domestic violence. I'll tell you something about us. And this is Rihanna, in case y'all don't know who that is. And we'll ask them young men back there, they probably can tell us who Rihanna is if you just happen to not know. But this is Rihanna. And so African American women are suffering deadly violence at a higher rate than the other racial groups. Now, why do you think that is so? Why do you think it's so?
Maybe because the men themselves are feeling inferior, and they're made to feel inferior by our society. And sometimes that inferiority makes people respond in violent manners.
That's true. That's true.
They've been exposed to it from a younger, at a young age.
That's right.
That's where they grew up thinking that this is okay.
Yes, and that's very true. Anyone else? Anyone else? One of the other reasons is that the messages we've crafted, this movement started out as a white woman's movement. That's just what it was. You know, you got to think about it. This started out in the late 60s, early 70s, and we weren't included. Just like a lot of things, we weren't included in the thought process. Look at the farmers, right? They weren't included in the thought process. And so sometimes the message that we give, it doesn't describe my situation. Because I fight back. You know, my grandmama told me somebody hit me. Come on, how many of y'all know what you supposed to do if he hit you? Hit him back. Hit him back. And if he do turn out to be an abuser, what was the cure? Now, my auntie, she even demonstrated what the cure was. And if you ain't watched the Tyler Perry movie, watch one, because he loved domestic violence, and he loved us women getting back. And we do what we always was told. What's the two things? Two things. Now, what's the two things, ladies? What are we supposed to do if he keep hitting you and don't stop? Come on, got something to do with grits. Come on. what? Pour some hot grits on it. And the next one is hot what? Grease, right? Cook some bacon. My aunt said cook bacon in the middle of the night and stand over his bed with that hot frying pan and wake him up and say, baby, you want some some bacon or some grease? And he feel that little popping off of him, hitting him in the night. Oh, baby, he won't hit you no more. Right? But a message we've been crafting, the other message that you're docile. And this, Rihanna told us when we called her meeting, the National Coalition called and said, hey, we're here for you. Tell us what we want. You know, we want you to be a spokesperson. You're an idol. You're idolized by young people. And she said, for what? I ain't no victim. I'm not a victim. In her songs, if you hear it, she said, I've never been a victim. I've always been a stalker. That's what she said. So the message we've crafted isn't reaching her because she doesn't see herself as a victim. Because she says, I gave as much as I received. So therefore, none of this works on her. And there are others. She's not unique. She's not unique. That's what our teenage girls tell us. I'm giving him. I'm doing him that way. So we need a new message. They find it hard to lead other than white women do. Why? Because a lot of the shelters are still based on that cultural concept. You get there, you got to eat the food that they buy. You have to follow the rules that they set up. And some of the rules don't neatly fit with us. Okay? My sister and my mother live together. My sister is 48 years old. And if my mother was running from a domestic violence victim, do you think, a perpetrator, is she leaving my sister at home? No, she coming with her. Now, does that fit the framework of family? When we say a family is someone under 18 and their children, it just doesn't fit, right? Nieces, nephews. Remember when Hurricane Katrina hit and the African American families were all trying to stay together, and they kept trying to define for them what family meant. And they kept saying, family is not me and my child and my 2 kids. It's my mom, my Uncle Fred, and his 2 nieces, and my cousin Jill, because he ain't got nobody to take care of him. That's what family is. And so when you show up running from a perpetrator with all these people, they're like, no, 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 no. Let me tell you who can come in. And you say, well, if we all can't come in, just like the people in Katrina, We'll do it ourselves, because we're not going to have my family in Alabama and my brother over here in Mississippi. You take us all, we'll do it ourselves. And that's the same thing, and that's the message. And because of that, women stay. And I'm going to tell you something about us ladies, right, in this women conference. We stay in a whole lot of stuff, and we take care of other people before we take care of ourselves, right? If you sick and your baby's sick, guess who gonna go to the doctor? Baby. Right? You know, they made that message for us on the airplane. If the plane going down and we lose oxygen, what do? What? Put the mask on you first. And I'm gonna tell you, sisters, if the plane start going down, I know ain't none of y'all gonna listen to that. My baby, I gotta get that on my, right? Because that's how we think. We take care of other people. And because we put everybody else's needs first, we leave ours last. And what do? When we're just as tired, when you done had enough, when you can't do no more, then you do what? You either explode, or you cave in, you want to stay, or you get pissed off, you leave the job. These folks, that one more person say something to me today, right? You go postal. Go postal. And that's what these women do. They take it and take it, they take every hit, they take every leak, they take everything, because some of us believe that suffering builds what? Character. And so they take it until she can't do what? Take it anymore. And she picks up a gun and she says, I'm going to resolve this today. Oh, I wish he would hit me. Let him hit me today. I wanted to. And guess what? So what happens then when she takes that matter in her own hand? He dies, and she goes where? Yeah. Because you would think it's self-defense, but in the state of Alabama, that is, domestic violence is not a self-defense. It's not. The only way we can claim it as a self-defense, you better wait, and he better be coming at you at that moment when you shoot him. But what victims usually wait? Because they scared of this, right? What they gonna wait for? I told you was gonna be scared, and then what? There she go, tug wild. You could have ran. When he turned, when he went over, you have the opportunity to run. They don't count that as a defense. So our children, our babies. So I'm gonna let this baby, hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers with this one. Anthony's story is going to summate for you guys everything that I could possibly tell you about domestic violence. Bear with me in this technology.
My name is Anthony Taylor, and I grew up in an environment where there was domestic violence. I have the, I guess the blessing or affliction of being an oldest son. One of the things that I have kind of found as I reflect over my life is I've only had one relationship with my mother and my brothers my entire life, and that has been one of the protector. But I remember a day, a perfectly beautiful afternoon, and I think we got out of school early, and in my mother grabbing me, my brothers, and taking us over a friend's home. And for some reason, my father showed up, and that particular situation got crazy. And all I can remember is thinking, why doesn't anybody do anything? And even at 5, my motivations for existing became that I will grow up and I will put an end to all of this. And it creates a kind of an interesting problem for you as a 5-year-old, 7-year-old oldest son who part of you is totally compelled to be in control and you absolutely have no control. You know, there's no kind of a cumulative experience of time as a child where things build in those environments because every day is starting over. You never sleep. You have to be the last to go to bed so that you can make sure that everything is all right and you're the first to wake up. And we, my mother, my brothers, and I, we actually had 2 sets of what was normal. We had a set of normal that is normal when my father was around, and a set of normal that was normal when he wasn't around. I was an incredible overachiever at school. Sports, all of those things. And all of my achievement in those areas of some regard came from my motivation to do everything that I could to make my father be as small as he could possibly be, and ultimately grow and protect myself and stay safe until I was old enough effectively to kill him. That became my primary drive. In my 18th year, my mother and my brothers also got the courage and the strength to make a decision to leave the situation. During a vacation of us back to our kind of childhood hometown in Milwaukee, my father met my mother, wanted to talk to her regarding something, and during a drive home, shot her close range, approximately 5 times, pushed her out of the car, left her for dead, went home to his home, my old childhood home, and killed himself. I had created my own rites of passage in manhood, and that rites of passage would be me killing my father. And of course that never happened, so the rites of passage for me in the manhood actually became his death. And I think my mother's greatest nightmare over her lifetime is that I would kill him. And the message for her was that I could never end the violence with violence. My mother talked to me in the hospital from her bed and began to ask me to just forgive. All of those things, I finally realized all of those things that had been part of my childhood were still there, and the whole idea was to confront them, reflect on them, and then create the healing within my own family. I've never forgotten anything from my childhood, and so I began to reflect on all those moments and began to see them differently, and began to ask myself, because all of those things are in me, how do they show up today? How do they show up in me today? All the things, all the skills you acquire as a young person to be safe and protect yourself in those things, and to make love not important for you, to make your father's love not important to you. How does that show up in you as an adult? One of the ways has been very financially lucrative for me because I'm a great salesperson now. I now have the ability to walk into a room that I've never been in before, and I can make an assessment of the total environmental energy, what the dynamics of the situation are, and what those people's greatest pain is within about 7 minutes. And that's exactly the skill you need as a 7-year-old walking into a house that potentially could be blowing up at any moment. And how do you handle a 30-year-old man that weighs 150 pounds more than you using your intellect? And what power you have in that environment makes you a great salesperson. I was 40 years old and I wasn't married yet. And so you create another dynamic that you don't need anybody. If you don't need your father and his approval and his recognition, you don't need anybody. And so you develop the skill where you can survive and thrive with that idea that maybe you don't need anybody. And the truth is, you need somebody. I have 3, maybe 4 and a half, 5 brothers because my mother, of course, has picked up people along the way. And now my brothers have amazing children, women. All the kids in our family are women. And this ability to show real compassion and real love in their families and to help them see that that's the way has been part of my healing. And it's been exciting to watch my mother develop into an incredible and amazing woman. Because the thing that I didn't realize is that she was developing too. And that is one of the greatest challenges for young mothers, is that you're developing yourself as you're developing children. And so I look back at those times and realize that as well. We have built a life, really not based on the fact that it might end tomorrow or how you have to be in control, but once again centering kind of this idea of being able to show each other love and compassion directly, and a commitment to breaking the cycle. And she has been very instrumental in this idea of manhood for me, and conversations directly around manhood and confronting it directly. And really the gift of my mother was that she spent my lifetime questioning me on what was I feeling, what's going on for you, what does this mean. One of the major conversations that we had was about my relationship to her and therefore my relationship to women. 16-year-old girlfriends, 15-year-old girlfriends, and of course at 16 this is the most annoying conversation you can have, but it never stopped. Her name is Atum Zahir. She is, you know, it's always interesting when someone asks you who is your angel. Of course, you say your mother, right? I mean, you know, that's one of those things. But I think it was actually exciting to be able to say that, because I think one of the major things that I have worked on, and especially with younger brothers, and this is also my second conference, by the way. I was at one in Philadelphia, and in that conference, there was a tremendous amount of energy and conversation focused on the idea of manhood, and particularly black manhood.